know, you may say I'm a dreamer, and I truly am. That song always gets to me. Yes, I am definitely a dreamer, because I have walked that talk or tried to live my life the best of my ability, living life in peace. And you know, I bet all of you are dreamers too, because here in Unity, what do we do every week after the service? We sing, "Let there be peace on earth." And who does it begin with? With me and with you, each one of us. So I have a little secret to share with you, though. I don't know, I think I can trust all of you. There's no computer hackers here, right? Computer hackers? Well, you know when they ask you those questions, like when you go to a site or something, and one of them is your favorite song? Well, I have to choose Imagine. I love music so much, but that is definitely my very favorite song. You know, but something happened. As much as I love that song and that I still try to walk that road and everything, it happened in October 2015, and it moved me to beyond Imagine. Now, what on earth could be beyond Imagine? Well, I'll let you know, but it inspired me, as Reverend Peggy said, when we went to the Parliament of the World's Religion in Salt Lake City, Utah. And that experience was life-changing. I had heard that it definitely would be, but it certainly was. And I believe that Reverend Peggy got changed too on a deep level. There were 6 different calls to action at that Parliament. And I'm sure that Reverend Peggy shared all of those 6 calls to action with you, but they were an interfaith call to climate change. And I think I heard somebody earlier talking about the floods here and climate change, and you just really can't depend on what's happening this year. We also had a call about emerging leaders. And that wasn't only about leaders in the field today, but that we needed the young people to come forward and to acknowledge them. And don't we do that with having the children walk in the light? And not only the young children, but our elders. Sometimes in our culture, we just put them away in nursing homes, but they have such great wisdom. The third thing was about the inequality and that widening wealth gap between the poor, the middle class, and the rich. There was a declaration on hate speech, violence, and of course war. There was dignity and rights for women. And the 6th one was an Indigenous Peoples Declaration for Action. Now, all of these calls, all 6 of these calls are just so critical in our world today. And we were given this commitment booklet to describe various ways in which we could commit, not only in our religious structures, which there were many, many religious leaders there, but also how we could commit in our political forum, and within our educational system, and within media. Because if you think about media and watching the news, what does it usually do? Brings you down. It is so negative. And so what they were asking, what could we do, and would we be committed to media change? Well, my commitment today is to bring forth some of the highlights that were really profound for me. And it will help bring about the injustices that are happening all over our world today, and to give momentum to our interfaith movement. One beautiful thing that occurred at the Parliament was that every session, as we do in Unity, was started with prayer. And you know, Unity was founded upon prayer many years ago, way back there, with Charles and Myrtle. And we have that beautiful silent unity. In fact, we just read the fourth principle, and the way to God is through prayer and meditation. This was a little bit different. I know that Reverend Peggy got up today and prayed. We were praying in. But at the Parliament, we had 3 different people pray. And they would be usually from 3 different cultures and 3 different faith groups. Just for example, there might be a Muslim praying, then there would be a rabbi, and then perhaps somebody from the Catholic Church, or even somebody from the Wiccan group. It was just so beautiful to hear all those many, many prayers in their languages. The other thing that they would say usually, as we started a session, they would say, "We are so grateful to be here before all of you at the Parliament for this opportunity to speak." And then they would say, "We're also very, very happy and proud to be here on land that was looked over by our indigenous people." And in that case, in Salt Lake City, it was the Utes. Well, today I'm very happy to speak here before you, and I'm so happy that Reverend Peggy said, "Yes, come along." Thank you. So just as the speakers at the Parliament said about the indigenous Utes, I'm also happy to be able to speak in this place that was held by mainly Cherokee people. And I'm also very proud to say, it's almost like coming home, but I'm of Cherokee descent also. Well, today though, I want to bring you ideas from the Parliament. And one thing out of the book that I definitely wanted to quote to you was this. It's about the call of climate change, which is just so very critical. Earth's atmosphere and oceans are warming. The chief cause is human use of fossil fuels, releasing greenhouse gases. Deforestation is also a cause, as is pollution of oceans. These facts are accepted by the vast majority of the world's scientists. People affected are and will be disproportionately the poor and the marginalized. Earth is one interconnected whole. What we do to Earth, we do to ourselves. Earth is our home, and we have nowhere else to go. And time is running out. Time is running out. A speech was given by Al Gore's daughter, and you know how Al Gore is really wanting to talk about climate change and has been. And she stated that if every person lived the way that she did, that we would need 5 planets to sustain all the population on Earth. Think about that. Think about that. And I did think about that. I thought about that. I thought, oh no, that just can't be right. Because a person like me that really cares about the planet, that really loves the planet and does all those things like recycle and so forth, I wouldn't need 5 planets. But as I further thought about it, I thought, well, I think I would need a few extra planets. You see, the reason is, I'm a white, privileged American. And we here in the Western world, we consume more of the fossil fuels and everything than the rest of the undeveloped countries even think about. That's a big, big thing. A lot of times in the underworld countries, they don't have plentiful water or resources or survival for such basic things as food and shelter and safety. The most earth-shattering speech that I heard at that parliament, and there were several, but one of the most that really touched my heart was by an Inuit elder from Greenland. And he got us all laughing, didn't he, Reverend Peggy? He just got us all laughing. I wish I could get all of you laughing and say, oh, come on, you know, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. We live in such a beautiful world. And we are so fortunate and so blessed. And then after he really got us laughing and just thinking the world was just all right, he said these sobering words: time is running out, and it's too late. It's too late. And then this elder would point. Now I know in Native culture, you don't usually point. And we were talking with a group of friends last night from CSS, and they go, a speaker is not supposed to point. They're supposed to do this. But I'm going to do like the Inuit elder and say, hey, do you have a house in Boston? If you do, put it on the market now and sell it. Because you see, Boston's going to be underwater. And you, do you have a high-rise in New York? Please put it on the market and sell it quickly, because New York is going to be underwater. And then I have to point the finger at myself. And you, who has a home in Florida, sell it now, because Florida will be no more. And I was going, oh no. It can't be, because my beautiful home in Florida, oh no. But it's true. It's true. And there lies the other privilege. I have 2 homes. How many people can say that now, you know? So I know that we've probably all heard these stories of gloom and doom, and it's been around a long time, right? But you know, when it came from an Inuit elder that says, you know why we're going to have the sea levels rise? Do you know why? Because 2 miles of the big ice up there in Greenland has melted and tumbled into the ocean. And the oceans are warming. So what do you think is going to happen? The sea level is going to rise, and as they predicted years ago, the coastlines are going to be gone. Climate change. I'm so glad that they had, they went to Paris, remember, after that? And you know what happened in Paris right before that? There was bombings. But at least they got some legislation in, and we just pray and hope and do our best that those laws will go into effect to lower our carbon emissions. It's too late. It might not happen in our lifetime, but the elder said it would. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. That elder said, I'm 68 years old, and I've been speaking this truth for 20 years. And I'm tired. I'm just tired. And he said, I hope that there is somebody in this group at Parliament that will be the hope of the world. Well, I thought, I'm sure not the hope of the world, I don't think, but I would like to take that message out to people. I would like to keep that message going because it's so important. When we moved up to northern Maine, there are no United churches except for one that's really far, far away. And so I went to a Universalist church. And there, they had a theme for the year, and that was climate change also. But I believe that it was inspired by Pope Francis. So this was right up my alley then. You know, one thing that Reverend Peggy and I did was go to a Langar which is a feed. People feed us, and they are in the Muslim faith. Sufi, I believe. Sikhs. And Reverend Peggy and I went in there, and I turned to her and I said, Reverend Peggy, I didn't say Reverend Peggy, I probably just said Peggy. Peggy, just look around, look at this. Look at all these beautiful people from all these different countries, all these different faiths, and everything, the Muslims, the rabbis, the Christians, the Native Americans, we're all here, and we're doing Imagine. We're living life in peace. We really are. Isn't that beautiful? In this building, we are. In this session. Why can't that be taken out in Salt Lake City? Why can't that spread across the land? And as our team sang, from New York to LA, why can't all this be spread, this peace on earth that has been a message from Jesus our Christ for over 2,000 years? Well, I felt that there was a sense of hope anyway when I knew that all those people had come. And Reverend Peggy, how many were there? I forget. There was a bunch.
We had 10,000 in all.
10,000. 10,000 people. So that's just so loving. One reason that I wanted to go and attend the Parliament was that I knew that Native Americans would be there and they'd be speaking, and I just had to go. And Reverend Peggy had told me that she had already, planned it and got her ticket and everything and registered. And I had this deep calling within myself, that I just had to go. I just had to go to Utah. And it was like going back another home that I was on in the Four Corners area. And I want you all to know that you have such a loving and prosperity-minded minister here. And she knew she was supposed to support me. And she told me later that it was her job to get me there and to support me. And she really did support me. I have to say I was having quite an issue with my knee then, and she even pushed me all around in a wheelchair from one place to another. And that was a huge place, So, and I have to thank her publicly for her generous prosperity-mindedness and saying, if you go, Mary, if you go, I will pay the $150 difference for the next cutoff date. And so she did. She is just so wonderful. Well, I have to say, even with that generous offer, I was wrestling within myself and saying, oh my gosh, how can I go? How can I go? There's no money available, but you never say there's no money available, I didn't know. And then finally I was just saying, okay, God, if you want me to go, you got to show me a way. And at the very last moment, it was revealed, and I had the money to go. Can you say that God is good?
All the time.
All the time, God is good. God is good. And if you're meant to be somewhere, you will get there. The one speaker that I wanted to hear and see and to touch was Chief Orville Looking Horse. And Chief Orville Looking Horse is a Lakota elder, but he is also the keeper of the sacred white calf bundle. The white buffalo calf brought the pipe to the Lakota many, many years ago, and he's the keeper from, it's been a long time. And I also wanted to hear the Indigenous grandmother, since the Center for Sacred Study is aligned with that, and I knew that one wonderful grandmother was going to be there, Flora Di Maio. But then I got to hear other sacred grandmas speak too. And those grandmothers would say, when my grandchildren come to me and say, Grandma, what did you do when you lived on Earth to our planet? Did you save anything for me? Did you save anything for the 7th generation, which is so traditional in Indigenous culture? And the grandmothers say, you know, I want to be able to stand in integrity that I did something to help out and that I didn't consume so much. Well, I was led then, we could go to so many workshops, we just didn't know what to do. We had a book about that thick, didn't we? But the one workshop I wanted to go to was Healing Hearts at Wounded Knee, which was led by Chief Orville Looking Horse. And how many of you have ever know about or have looked at the Shift Network? Anybody? Shift Network. You know Stephen Diamond, that's the head of that? He was also there, and he was one of the presenters at this workshop, so it was wonderful. And Stephen and the Shift Network was supporting this. And you see, Wounded Knee is so important to the Lakota people. It's in their DNA and in their memory. And a long time ago, on December 29th, it was in the 1800s, that there was a massacre of about 300 people. And so that event is still so vivid in their minds. And I saw for many years that it was just sort of like the natives away from the white people, and that's the way they wanted it. But now they're coming out and they're saying, we've got to work together. We've got to work together, all of us. So they're having a turnaround within their spiritual ideas. And they wanted to have this, this Healing Hearts at Wounded Knee, but they didn't just want Wounded Knee. Oh no, no. It was to bring together all over the world people that would be in prayer and meditation, our fourth principle, and linking up and having ceremony if possible. And not only for Wounded Knee, but for all the traumas. It was for the Holocaust. And I know that Reverend Peggy was praying at that time also. It was for all the traumas, Bosnia, Palestine, even Paris and Brussels. I don't think that had happened then, but even now there's still traumas. And it was to heal all the traumas of the world. And that, my friend, is subtle activism. You know, we can't go out there and really change the world. We can just do it one piece at a time. As they say, one prayer at a time. And linking up, and then for myself, it's just to bring the message to wherever I can. That's my form of activism. I'm not going out and marching the street unless I have to, I guess. But that is subtle activism. And I would love for all of you to be able to join together in something like that, whatever is calling your heart, your mind, and be able to link up and pray. And so we know that God is our source, as we sung. God is our source. God is the answer. And we know also we are all one. We're not separate. We're not separate in class, in culture, in the color of our skin, or in our religious ideas. So let us keep that in mind, that we are truly all one. And I'd like to end with the words of Lakota, Ho Mitakuyeasi, we are all related.